You know when you want to break up with somebody, but you don't want to be the bad guy, so you just start acting worse and worse, hoping that they'll break up with you? This video is for you if you want to leave the LDS Church, but you don't want to have to go through all the trouble of removing your records yourself. And this is not an exhaustive video for anyone who's trying to not get kicked out of the church. Now, I actually am a faithful and active Latter-day Saint, but you know what? If you want to leave, I respect it, so I'm gonna give you some help. More than anything, this video is kind of a fun thought experiment. I'm just here to have fun, so subscribe if you want to have more wholesome, good Mormon fun with me and learn more about LDS culture. All right, let's get started on how to get excommunicated from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So funny enough, the church actually stopped using the word excommunicated, and now they just use membership withdrawn. They also call it membership council, so they have a membership council deciding if you're going to get kicked out or not. So there's a big list of things that might require a membership council, but we're going to focus on the things that say membership council required section, because we're not trying to take any risks here. We're trying to get out of here quick and easy. So let's see how to get an invite to a membership council. Okay, so this is going to be hard to not get age restricted, but I'm going to censor as much out as I can. Okay. Murder. If you got a bone to pick with someone, then now would be a great time to knock out two birds with one stone. If I'm being honest, this is probably the least bad one. It only gets worse from here. Okay, so the next ones are something that starts with an R, something assault, and something kids. So I'm not even gonna make a joke about these ones. Please don't do them. The next one is of a spouse or another adult. So this one isn't great either, but at least they're not kids, so it's less bad. Okay, so the next one's predatory behavior. That can be either violent, financial, or other. This one's pretty broad, so this could be good. There are some things that I don't like about this one. There are also some things that I do like about this one. Financial predatory behavior could be really easy. I think I've probably done that one before, you know, asking people for money, or I think this also involves like Ponzi schemes. So you heard that one show about that bishop who did like a big Ponzi scheme. That's always an option, but we'll get to being a bishop later. That's where it gets interesting. Okay, next we have incest. So incest is wincest. Child imagery, please don't do this one. Please, I'm not endorsing this. I'm not even joking. Okay, then we have plural marriage. Plural marriage will get you kicked out of the LDS Church. As those of you who already watch this channel probably know, the LDS Church is no longer practicing polygamy. I am not a polygamist, unfortunately. If you want to hear more myths about our church debunked, definitely check out my video I made on that. So again, we're not polygamous, but if you're looking to get out of the church, this could be a fun method. However, this does require finding multiple people to marry you, and in today's dating landscape, it's hard enough to even find one, so this is not going to be an easy method. But if you can manage it, I would say it's the least morally reprehensible option. Next is serious sin while in a prominent church position. This one requires you to be in a prominent church position, so again, not very feasible for most people. And the last one is going to be most felony convictions. I would not recommend this one because it is going to land you some jail time, and you might get out of one prison, but you'll just end up in another. You might have noticed that I left off apostasy, which is openly going out and saying you don't believe in the church and teaching other people in the church that they need to leave and that their teachings are wrong. The reason I didn't mention that one is because it's actually not on the guaranteed membership council section. Your apostasy has to be like especially bad. So if you're an ex-Mormon YouTuber, that is always a good way to get an excommunication letter. So yeah, you can always try that, but it's not guaranteed, and I think you'd have to have a lot of subscribers, have your channel be, you know, prolific enough to get noticed, which is the next step, getting noticed. You can do predatory behavior all day long, and if no one knows about it, then you're not going to get kicked out, because even though God knows all, your bishop does not know all. So if you want people to know about your heinous sin, I got 6 ways for you. A, be in a prominent church leadership position. So again, this only works for you if you're already in a prominent leadership church position. B, if you commit an actual crime and go to jail. We already established this is not the best way because then you end up in a jail. Okay, C is you're a YouTuber, like we just discussed. If you're an ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon YouTuber, then that can be a good way to get noticed. But again, you gotta get enough attention, subscribers, maybe linking your YouTube channel and your Instagram bio could help. Leading a political movement is another option. Being a big, you know, activist. Okay, and the last option is to just go tell your bishop. You can just tell him.
Have you talked to your bishop or the church about anything?
No.
No? How come?
I don't know, because, like, what if they're gonna, like, excommunicate me?
Hey, when you are out soft swinging, what do you expect?
All right, now that you're on the radar, get hyped for your disciplinary council. Let's start with who's coming. Who's on the guest list? Well, this is going to depend on if your council is being held at the ward level or the stake level. So the ward is a smaller level. It's usually something like your town, and then your stake is a bigger region, maybe a couple towns, maybe a city in some cases. If you're doing it at the ward level, it's just going to be you, your bishop, the 2 counselors, and then the clerk is there to take notes. You can also invite your Elders Quorum or Relief Society president. So Elders Quorum is like the group of men in the ward, and Relief Society is like the group of women. Personally, I wouldn't do this because it makes you seem more sympathetic. Like, oh, I want to like bring a friend. At the stake level, it's kind of the same thing. It's the stake president, his counselors, the clerk, and then sometimes they'll bring in the high counselors or the bishop. And then if you want, again, you can invite your Relief Society or Elders Quorum president. So the high counselors participate generally just if there's contested facts, like if people aren't sure if you did it or not. We're gonna be sure, okay? We're gonna be sure we did it. If you really want them to, they can come. So if one of them hates you, that could be a good invite. And then also if the stake president's family is involved, they have to be in the council. So maybe if the stake president is your dad, then they might need some additional perspectives. So you get noticed and you get your invite in the mail. Congratulations, it's time for your big moment. You have the choice not to attend the council and they'll just do it for you, but this is a little risky because there's no guarantee that they'll kick you out, and also I just feel like this isn't as fun. I would definitely want to be there in the moment, you know, to kind of like relish in it, like, hey, like, I'm gonna get kicked out, you know? I just think that would be a cool moment. They also let you bring witnesses. So if you have people who like want to give statements, then you can bring them. So I would recommend this just so they can make sure that what you did happened. So for example, if you're doing the polygamy, bring along your wives. Okay, and this is gonna go a little bit like a court, except it's gonna start with a prayer, and then they're gonna ask you if you're gonna accept or deny the accusations. And of course you're gonna accept. After that, we'll get some statements from the victims, so could be your wives. I really hope, however you do this, that there aren't too many victims and they aren't too poorly hurt. And then they're just gonna ask you some basic questions. The handbook says any questions should be brief and limited to the essential facts. So these really aren't supposed to be asking super specific questions about inappropriate details, so you might just have to provide those yourself just to make it super clear that what you did happened. After that, you're gonna leave the room, and then the bishop and his counselors are gonna be the jury, and they're gonna say a prayer and decide your fate. So this is also a good time that you could be praying to ask to get excommunicated in hopes that they will rule in your favor. And then you will go back in the room and get your answer. But congratulations, you have successfully unbaptized yourself from the LDS Church. If you don't get excommunicated, then there's always an appeal process, so you can appeal that decision within 30 days of receiving the decision. A lot of people like to say they wish that they could relive their baptism or get baptized all over again. And if that's your goal, well, you can. I hope this guide was helpful to people who want to get excommunicated, people who don't, and people who are just interested in the LDS Church and just are curious about random stuff about our church. And so if you are, then this is the perfect place for you. Subscribe and hear more fun stuff about my religion and who I am as a religious girly. So thanks guys. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.